What's up, homies? Welcome back to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on this video and choosing to support your girl once again. And if you're new, my name is Andiswa and I'm just out here trying to live simply, make money and help others do the same. I publish new content every week, so please do consider subscribing. So this is the third video in our money making series, and today we're going to talk about how to budget. I will also be sharing a template with you guys that I have created for myself and that I've been using for the past, I think, 2 years to track my monthly budgeting, and it's available in the description box below, so click on that and we can get to budgeting together. Before we get started with the budgeting, there are 3 basic principles that I wanted to share with you guys that I kind of base my monthly budget planning on. I do have a few more things that I think about, but I think these 3 are good to think about if you're just getting started or kind of just rewiring your approach to money. The first principle that I like to follow is the 50-30-20 rule, and this principle says that 50% of your expenses should be going towards your needs. These are things like housing, transportation, food, etc., your just basic needs. 30% should be going to your wants, so sushi on a Friday night, that's a want. And then 20% should be going to your savings. I'm a bit more of an aggressive saver, so my split is usually a 50-20-30 split, but you guys can sort of tweak this as you need to and figure out what works for you. But I think it's important that you try to do minimum the 50-30-20. If you can decrease your expenses so that you're spending maybe 40% on your needs, maybe 20% on your wants, and then saving a bit more, then that's great. But yeah, I think you really should be trying to at least hit 50-30-20. The second principle is that you should always be aiming for a budget surplus, not a deficit, and not even a perfectly balanced budget. A budget deficit will mean that you are spending more than you have coming in, and that usually means that you are generating debt, which we obviously do not want. Having a perfectly balanced budget, however, means that you are pretty much spending everything that you have coming in, which we don't want as well, because that just kind of simply means that you are living paycheck to paycheck. Not generating debt is a good place to start, but you want to get eventually to the place where you actually have money left over, because that is how you're gonna increase your wealth. That's how you're going to generate and accumulate wealth over time, is by having a surplus over and above everything that you need to pay for it. Personally, I aim to have a surplus over and above even the money that I save and invest. So I will account for my fixed expenses, my needs, I'll account for my wants, and I'll also account for my savings. But I also try to have something left over and above all of that. I did speak about the power or the importance of having a buffer or an emergency savings or just extra money at the end of the month in my last video, so if you haven't seen that, please do check it out. And the third principle that I really like to be thinking about as I'm planning my money is the principle of paying yourself first. More specifically, paying your future self first. So this just means before we go off and spend the monies, pay off the cars, pay off the debts, whatever is going to be coming off of your account, it's also important to think about how you're paying yourself first. What means or what methods or what automations are you putting in place to make sure that from the money that you earn every month, some of it is staying with you and going into your future life or your future plans. So I think a really easy and good way to do this, as I've said before, is to automate your finances and just make sure that on payday, whenever money is coming into your account, you have a mechanism set up that will automatically take a portion of that money and put it into savings, into investments that can grow and that will be paying you for years to come. Just remember, like, in all the hours that you're working, all the side hustling that you're doing, like, you want to have something to show for that, right? And not just that you went out and had a good time, or you bought a nice car, or you had nice clothes. That's kind of how I think about it. It's like, it's nice to have money to spend for now, but it'll be even nicer to have have money in the future that's accumulated, that's grown, and that will provide you a whole lot of flexibility if you just make the right decisions now. Okay, cool. So now that we're clear on our guiding principles, let's jump onto the laptop and actually look at how to budget. So I'm going to show you guys the template that I created about 2 or 3 years ago that I've been using for myself, and as time has gone I've kind of built onto this and just really made it what I wanted to see, just given myself the view that I needed. Let's get straight into looking at that. I'm gonna put on my glasses because I'm a blind woman. I just pretend that I'm not. Okay, so here we are. This is the template that I created and that I use. I've changed these numbers, by the way, so I just made up numbers, except for here. I think this might be real, parts of it, but I just wanted to give you an example. The view that I like to see is seeing everything in one view. I know a lot of budget templates tend to put like 1 month on each sheet, but for me I like to compare how I'm doing month to month. So yeah, I've just put this onto one yearly view. So in the top here I have the income section. So this first line here would be your gross income, so that should include whatever your income is. If you have a salary, you would put that there. If you have additional income, maybe from side businesses or YouTube like I do, you would add this. Whatever your income is, or whatever multiple streams of income you have, you would just list those all here. If you've got more than 3, then of course you can click and add a row, and the formula should stick, so it will all populate accordingly. So yeah, then the next thing here under that I have deductions. So you would put in, if you have a salary, what your taxes, what is going straight into your pension fund. At my job we have something called prepaid tax, which you can pay throughout the year, so that your 13th check at the end of the year isn't taxed and you get that fully paid out to you, which is why I have that line there. You can have your medical aid contribution. I also invest in my employer's share scheme, so that's why I have that line. You have UIF, and then with all of those deductions at the end you should have your net income, which is the income that is coming to you directly. So of course, depending on whether you've had additional income or what your deductions are, that will change. So if I take away that 5,000, then that drops there by 5,000. So it should all just populate. You just need to put in the numbers that are true to you. Then underneath that, I then have my expenses, and I've kind of divided these up into different categories. So living costs, for me, I pay for Wi-Fi. I used to have, oh, these numbers are true, some of them. So like I used to have a phone contract, but that's done, and so now I only have a data contract, which is why that's gone down like that. So whatever is true for you, you will input. So you'll input groceries, you'll input gym if you go, Netflix if you use it, Spotify. I have Apple storage, I have insurance for my phone and my MacBook, etc, etc. Whatever you are paying for, that's kind of a living cost, then you would put it in there. You might have water, lights. I live at home, so I don't necessarily have those things. I just contribute to groceries. Then next, I have my travel costs. So for me, that includes my car, that includes the tracker for my car insurance, petrol. I need to actually just change these things because some of them won't make sense for you guys, but I gifted my little sister with a car for her 21st birthday, so that's a line item for me as well. But obviously you don't have a sister named Sunny, so that won't be for you. So again, just input whatever is relevant to you. You might have debt repayments that you have to pay off, so again, just list those there, whatever they may be, credit card, personal loan, whatever that is, put it there, your bond, etc, etc. And then I also have a line item for fun. I don't kind of break this down. I will just kind of give myself a few thousand a month that I know I will be able to spend on either going out, eating out, buying clothes, etc., etc. I also then tally that up to see, after I've gotten in this amount, my net income and my total expenses, then what should be left is this. From my excess, I then decide what I'm saving. So underneath my expenses, I have line items for my savings, and then for my stokvel, I'll play a stokvel with my friends, so I've got that. And then at the end of that, I have my surplus with that buffer that we spoke about. And so for me, having this buffer is really important, because I think it can really make a difference if you're trying to grow your income. So what I generally do, if I find that I have a kind of a substantial buffer left over at the end of the month, then I will allocate that to one of my savings or investment funds, right? So that's the first bit. The second bit I have going on here is my investments. I like to have a really nice view of this that is graphic. I'm a visual person, so it really excites me when I see like all of these numbers like going up from month to month. So here I've listed all of my investments. So I have a tax-free savings account. I invest in stock through Easy Equities and Equate Mobile, and I invest in Luno in cryptocurrency through Luno. I also have a Sanlam investment account. That's also a stock-based account, so I put money there and then they buy stocks on my behalf. So again, these numbers are just numbers that I've made up, but I like to track at the end of each month where my investments are sitting, what my interest has amounted to, and how my savings and investments have grown. And like I said before, I'm quite visual, so I really enjoy being able to see, for instance, this is the total line, being able to see that we started the year quite close to 200,000 in total savings, for instance, and now we're quite close to 300,000. I find that really motivating to see. And in the same vein, on the next tab I have credit. So I only like to track cash debt, or what they call unattached debt. That's kind of your bad debt. People have different opinions on that, but for me, the debt that you should be working the hardest to reduce and to get rid of is your unattached debt, and that's just your cash debt, like a credit card or personal loans, things like that. So that's what I try to really keep an eye on closely. So that's what I generally list in this tab, but you can of course go ahead and put in your car note, your home loan, if that's what you want to track. This cash debt, unattached debt, is the debt that is probably doing the most to diminish your wealth, because it's taking away money from you that you could be spending, right? Again, I like to see how my investments are trending upwards. I also like to see how my credit is trending downwards. It's just healthy to track. So you would go in and put in exactly where you're sitting at the end of the month with each of these, and then hopefully what you should be seeing is, as the year goes, that it's going down, 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 down. If you're finding that your debt is increasing throughout the year, then again, the first step to solving any kind of problem is just awareness. I really think that being able to visualize your finances in this way is really cool, because you can see exactly what's happening, and you can see if it's going upwards or I have a problem, then there's some things that I need to fix. So what I might have forgotten to say, sorry, up here, is that what I tend to do, which is why you'll find that these are all green, is that I will set up my budget exactly in the same way for every month. So that's why up until December, this is gonna look the way that it does, and then I will actually add in any additional income that I might have in that month, depending on what it is. And then what I do, sort of like what I would have done at the end of July, is gone, okay, my salary was that, it stays the same. Again, these are phony numbers. I had an additional income of this. I made, I don't know, a few thousand off of YouTube. The deductions were this. Plan to spend maybe one is here, because that tends to vary. I planned to spend 2,000 on petrol, but I actually didn't end up going anywhere this month, so I spent 1,500 instead. Whatever the case may be, it might be that, you know, I had some excess left over here, so rather than saving all of this, I decided to put in a little extra in my credit card. So maybe instead of paying 2,000, I paid 4,000 that month, whatever. And then what I'll actually do is just then go in and hide all of these things, all of these columns that are no longer relevant because they've passed. And then I'll be looking at August, because that's the month we're in, and at the end of August I'm going to go in and see exactly, you know, this was my plan, but this is what actually ended up actualizing, that, you know, affected my investments and my savings in this way, that affected my credits in this way, and just see, you know, how we're going. And in this way I can see what, you know, maybe in August I'd planned to spend only 2,000 on fun and entertainment, and then I spent 6,000. So I can kind of be like, okay, next month we need to be more mindful of those things, etc., etc. And then I'll pull up these columns as I need to kind of see what's going on each month. So like I said, I like to have a year view, just because it can make the patterns of my spending more apparent to me, but you guys can tweak this and set it up any way that you like. So a really important mindset shift that was important for me to make was to realize that, you know, budgeting is not about scolding yourself for what you've spent in the past month. It's more around setting goals and intentions for the following month, and then also tracking your patterns to see, you know, how you're doing in certain areas and where you can improve. So if you go in to fill in at the end of the month your expenses and you find that you've spent more than you had planned to, then rather than beating yourself up and feeling guilty about that, just take some time to think about how you can do better in the next month, and how you can stick to plan, or stick with your plan in the preceding months. Budgeting shouldn't be about punishing yourself. It should be about empowering yourself to make the decisions that you need to be making for your future self. So yeah, usually on the last day of the month, I'll just schedule in an hour to sit and look at this and plan for the following month. My suggestion would really not to be spending hours and hours looking at your expenses, combing through bank statements, etc., etc. Just fill in what you need to, look at what your plan is, and then focus on spending with more intention, focus on income generating activities, and just move forward. So let me know if this was helpful for you guys. I really hope it was. Comment below, let me know what you guys thought, if you're using the template, if you're liking it, if it worked, how you're going to be doing your monthly budgets, etc., etc. Comment below, let me know if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer in my next video on this money series, or in any other video that you'd like me to make. All is open to that. If you did like this video and found it helpful, please do give me a thumbs up so I know that it is real. When you like a video, YouTube will think that it's a good video and they will show it to more people, which means more people can access this information and get the help that they need, and it also helps my channel grow. So it's kind of a win-win situation, and it's absolutely free. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Keep well, and I'll see you again soon in the next one. Peace. My t-shirt says just do it, so honestly, just do it.